Thank you. We are about to call to order the Ways and Means Committee meeting of May 11, 2022. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Boyd. Alderman Vaccaro.
Present.
Alderwoman Howard.
Present.
Alderwoman Spencer. Alderwoman Boyd.
Present.
Alderman Muhammad. Alderman Oldenburg. Alderwoman Middlebrook.
Present.
Alderwoman Evans. Chairwoman Davis.
Present.
Alderman Boyd.
Present.
Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Muhammad. Alderman Oldenburg. Alderwoman Evans. 6 present, you have quorum.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to approve our minutes from February 17th, 2022.
So moved.
Seconded.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderman Vaccaro.
Aye.
Alderwoman Howard.
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer. Alderwoman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderman Muhammad. Alderman Oldenburg. Alderwoman Middlebrook.
Aye.
Alderwoman Evans. Chairwoman Davis.
Aye.
6 aye votes.
Thank you. We've approved the minutes. And our next order of business, we have before us resolution number 17 and board, wait a minute, hold on. What's that? Okay, so I'm sorry. I'm really losing my voice sooner than I thought. Madam Clerk, could you read the resolution and board bill numbers for me, please?
Read the resolution and the board bill number.
Yes, please.
So the board bill number is item number 1, Board Bill 10, introduced by Alderwoman Schweitzer, an ordinance establishing a Holly Hills Special Business District pursuant to section 71.790 through 71.808 of the Revised Statutes of Missouri and setting its boundaries, tax rate, initial rate of levy, subject to the approval of the qualified voters and uses to which tax revenue may be put, creating a board of commissioners and containing severability, effectiveness, and emergency clauses. Resolutions for review. Item number 1, Resolution 17, introduced by Alderwoman Schweitzer. Now therefore, be it resolved that this Honorable Board of Aldermen herewith states its intention to establish a special business district under the provisions of section 71.790 through 71.808 Revised Statutes of Missouri to be known as Holly Hills Special Business District or such other name that it deems appropriate.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Thank you so much, Madam Chairwoman. I appreciate your time today and all of your guidance on this bill, and thank you everyone in the committee for coming today and hearing the bill and resolution. The bill and the resolution put a special business district for an area of Holly Hills on the ballot this coming August. This idea was born of a community effort led by many of the people here on this Zoom today. And they will tell you more about that community effort as we move on with this bill. They will also tell you about the items in the bill and in the SBD that they're looking to fund and neighbors have signed a petition for, which include funds for infrastructure, beautification, and safety and security measures. divided equally between those three things, 30% each, and a 10% administration spend. So they'll tell you about some ideas for that budget, although of course the board of the SBD would be making the decisions in the end of the day. This bill is and resolution are not without opposition. So there is, I believe, one person speaking in opposition today, and there are letters of both support and opposition in the folder that you all have, admittedly many more letters of support and many more speakers in support as well. So my goal here today is to present this bill to you so you can hear from members of the community about the bill and to get your favorable consent after you've heard from them to pass this bill out of the Ways and Means Committee with the do pass recommendation to the board. I do believe that a majority of my constituents in the area are in favor of the bill, and I appreciate your time. With that, Madam Chair, I'd love to pass it to my guest speaker, starting with State Representative Steve Butts, if it's okay with you.
What I'd like to do is to have your speakers sworn in, and then we'll allow them to go in the order that they're listed. What I'd like to do is ask all speakers that have been invited by Alderwoman Schweitzer. I believe it's 7 of you. If you would open your mic and I'll swear you in. And just say your name. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Do.
And
I do.
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 all right, thank you very much. Madam Clerk, we have a list before us, and what we'll do is go in the order, and I believe previous Alderwoman Sarah Morton is our first guest speaker. Go right ahead.
Thank you very much. I could not stay away very long, apparently, but I appreciate the opportunity to speak here today. I know, I believe Representative Steve Butts as well as Brooks Goedeker have a little more to offer as far as sort of a presentation and details. But I will kick this off by saying I want to thank Alderwoman Schweitzer for working hard on this. Before I resigned, I was working on this in conjunction with Alderwoman Schweitzer because we both shared Holly Hills and Carondelet Park. And I think that she and I both, would hear the same questions and also complaints and frustrations. And this truly is a citizen-led effort, which is different than a lot of the special taxing districts and how they start here in the city. So a lot of times they're developer-driven, and this, however, really is a resident-driven effort. And I also appreciate those supporting this, having meetings and coming to meetings and talking to their fellow neighbors about this. I do want to say the big catalyst in this was surrounding Carondelet Park. Unfortunately, like everyone on this committee that has a park in their ward, which it's St. Louis, so you do. And we have gunshots, loud parties all night, constant loud racing, ATVs all over the place. And the city just doesn't necessarily always have the resources to mitigate that activity. We get a lot of questions about why other parks or other neighborhoods had this or that, why other medians look so nice and ours don't, or another catalyst was also just general pedestrian and bicycle safety. And, why do we not have as many of the nice, lights where you can press and it alerts drivers that there's a crosswalk there? Those types of quality of life issues. And we are fortunate to have an expert that lives in our neighborhood, Brooks Goedeker, and he started meeting with folks and talking with them about this possibility. So I really do appreciate Alderwoman Schweitzer continuing to work with residents, because I did sort of I did leave my colleague with this a little bit just all on her shoulders. And I appreciate her picking up that ball and carrying it, and at least getting this to the ballot so the residents of Holly Hills can make that sound decision. Other than that, I don't really have a lot to add, but as a resident and a former Alderwoman, I do support this, and I'm very excited about the possibilities. Thank you.
Thank you. State Representative Steve Butts.
Thank you,
Representative,
Madam Chair.
all right.
I appreciate very much being able to speak to you. So, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Alderwoman Schweitzer, thank you for this opportunity. For the record, my name is Steve Butts, longtime Holly Hills resident, 50 years or so, and the state representative for the 81st District, which encompasses all of the proposed geographic area for this SPD. I am here in strong support of this community-led effort, and it's an issue that I am asked to speak on in many areas and parts of the city, not just my area. I have pushed for similar concepts at the Dutchtown SID, for example, and I know that it is empowering, I think, when local neighbors and residents can take some further ownership of their immediate neighborhood. I think it is good for all of us when this happens. The examples I can readily give to piggyback on former Alderwoman Sarah Martin's words, Carondelet Park and the parkways that are along Holly Hills, Bellerive, Leona, just to pick three that jump to mind. Especially during the pandemic, the city had issues with getting to all the jobs they needed to get to. And a bunch of us have been voluntarily cutting grass, planting the flowers. The soccer field is virtually unusable would it not be for a group of local dads who manicure that field for the kids at Carondelet Park at the White Wall area. These type efforts, though many people are willing to volunteer over a long period of time, it becomes a little burdensome. And if we could have a funding stream that the majority of the residents vote on, we could apply those funds to these beautification efforts, improving some infrastructure, and certainly public safety. So I think just empowering local residents is an excellent idea that the vast majority of citizens are behind, and it is an investment in the common good for all. So I'm in strong support. I appreciate being able to give some testimony on it. I yield back my time, if that's what you guys say at your committee meetings. That's what we say.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Now we have Brooks Gettiger. Go right ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you, Chairwoman. Thanks to everyone, the rest of the committee today. I know you guys are taking time out of your day to hear this, so we greatly appreciate it. Just quick background on myself, born and raised in the city of St. Louis. I've lived in the city of St. Louis my whole life. I lived in the Dutchtown neighborhood till I was 17 years old. I have lived with my family of 3 kids now in the Holly Hills neighborhood for the last 14 and a half years. And I've been involved with community and economic development in the city of St. Louis for the last 20 plus years. So to say the least, I love the city of St. Louis, and I love the residents of the city of St. Louis. I have a quick presentation, very, very quick, if that's okay, Madam Chair.
Go right ahead.
Thank you. And somebody's at my door. All right, they'll come back. Okay, so this is just gets into my background again real quick. Is I did help put together, establish, and administer several special taxing districts in the city of St. Louis. So the Grove Community Improvement District, the Central West End South Community Improvement District, the Central West End South Special Business District, the Central West End Southeast Special Business District. I was fortunate to work with Alderwoman Carol Howard on the Bevo Community Improvement District. And most recently with my position here at St. Louis University, I helped the Grand Center reestablish their Community Improvement District a couple years ago. So with that, really, and there's a lot of other people, a lot of dedicated residents that have been doing this for a long time in the Holly Hills neighborhood. But the conversation kept coming back and forth to, Yes, there are needs here. Yes, we all care about the neighborhood. Volunteer efforts only can get us so far. But is there other needs out there with Carondelet Park, with the medians, with safely crossing, pedestrian crosswalks, all of those things? So really, in the last year, we just began having individual block meetings. So I think Representative Steve Butts and I covered about 10 blocks and met with, 5 or 6 different times with individual streets, and then just started having the initial conversations back in summer 2021 and fall 2021. And then Representative Butts had a big town hall meeting in November 2021 talking about the proposed special business district. We presented for the March 2022 Holly Hills Neighborhood Association meeting. We collected a bunch of surveys throughout the last year, the process for it. We ended up posting a presentation and video and all the information on the Holly Hills Improvement Association website. And then on Monday night, just this last Monday, went ahead again and had another Zoom meeting. Alderwoman Schweitzer and I hosted a Zoom meeting for the neighborhood. So there's been a lot of just outreach to the public about this, outreach to the neighborhood, and garnering a lot of feedback for that. So that is where we come up with this proposal. So looking at it, there's approximately 1,900 properties in our boundary areas for the Holly Hills area here. At the low point, we looked at if it was at 45 cents per $100 assessed value, that would collect about $208,000 annually. At 65 cents, $400,000 annually. And then at the maximum 85 cents, it would collect $520,000 annually. It seemed like from the surveys and what Alderwoman Martin at the time and Schweitzer were comfortable with was at 65 cents per $100 assessed value. And that's where you see here, that's at the median value for the neighborhood would be $200 for the year. So 950 property owners would pay less than $200 a year, and then 950 property owners would pay a little bit more than that for the year. So anyway, folks felt like that was a doable number for the property owners there. As Alderwoman Schweitzer mentioned, looking at the surveys and the feedback, really, it was kind of a split looking at beautification. There are 2 miles of medians in the Holly Hills neighborhood. On average, I would say the city of St. Louis cuts the medians about once a month in the spring and summer. So looking at the beautification, 30%, safety, 30%, public infrastructure improvements, going again, talking about crosswalks, increased lighting, possibility of speed humps on streets or alleys and that to try to slow down traffic, those types of improvements. And then administration at 10%, doing an annual audit, having a website, mailing out annual or twice a year newsletters to those 1,900 property owners and that, communicating to everybody what's going on with the special business districts. Making sure that the communication is there with everyone. Here is the proposed boundary areas. So it's Bates Street to the north, Grand Boulevard to the east, Loughborough to the south, and Morgan Ford to the west. These are the same boundary areas that the Holly Hills Improvement Association recognizes as Holly Hills. The city of St. Louis has a little bit of a different boundary areas. I've talked with Don Rowe in the planning department about possibly changing that in the future. But I think most residents kind of consider this as the Holly Hills boundary areas here. But one of the big collections was in the surveys was the ask is, should Carondelet Park be a part of the boundary areas? Because as part of the special taxing districts, you are only allowed to spend the funding in the boundary area. So it is open then with Carondelet Park being included that yes, if there was needs there, if the special business district board and that felt that there was a need, that Carondelet Park needed some assistance, that it could be made available there. One of the big conversations, as Sarah Martin mentioned, looking at possibility of, in the evenings, there's some problems that are happening. could the special business district work with the Parks Department and install gates and then have the gates closed at 10 p.m. each night and open up at 5 a.m. in the morning, those sorts of things as part of it. And those gates would be for vehicular traffic. There's 6 entrances and exits for the park for vehicular traffic. Just the governance of it, the way that this proposal states is that the board of directors would be 4 homeowners from that boundary area, 1 renter, 1 business owner, and then 1 homeowner or renter. All of it, then there will be rotating terms. So 2 of the board members would go ahead and rotate off each year. So you wouldn't lose some of that knowledge and that having too many come off at one time. So rotating terms as part of it. And then just my last slide here is talking about is where I've seen these be successful is having strong committees associated with it. We need to, again, this is a 10-year proposal. So if this is ever going to get renewed again after 10 years, you need to make sure that it's very transparent, that you're constantly looking for feedback from the community regarding how to spend, then the certain initiatives, and then having committees associated with the different categories for spending. So it is proposed to have an 11-person committee for beautification, an 11-person committee for safety, and then another committee for public infrastructure. And then those committees would be responsible also for conducting the request for proposal processes and looking at an annual basis and making sure that that is a fair process for who ultimately gets some of the contracts as part of this. So I think that that's my quick presentation. And as we go through this, definitely open for questions.
Thank you very much. Brooks, could you make sure that you email your presentation to the board clerk for records? Okay.
Definitely.
Thank you. Our next speaker is it Christy Jackson?
Hi, it's Krista.
Krista, okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Go right ahead.
My name is Krista Jackson, and I am the Holly Hills Improvement Association current president. A little background about me. I'm one of the rare ones that moved from St. Charles County to the city when I was 20 because I wanted to be around people that I loved and were wonderful. So I fell in love with St. Louis City, became a real estate agent because I wanted to be a part of helping it grow and letting people move back into the city and seeing our value here. To say that I am passionate about Holly Hills itself is an understatement because it's my home and hopefully my 20+ year home here. As the Holly Hills Improvement Association president, I've heard from numerous residents, and I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on what their concerns and or excitement wraps around. The last current meeting that we had, I introduced this. I had Brooks come and speak, and to say that it was my most attended meeting was an understatement. People were very excited about the idea of this. I've also heard people's concerns. I think that people see the value in spending just a little bit more to get all the things that we see in the future of Holly Hills. Landscaping amongst our boulevards, beautification in Carondelet Park, better lighting and better crosswalks, just to name a few. So to state that I am in full support of this is what I want the record to show.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next is Jay Cummel.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I appreciate it. For the record, my name is Jay Cummel, a resident of 3800 block of Holly Hills, former state representative and state senator. I will just, in the interest of the committee's time, I will just echo a me too on all the things that have been previously said. There's many needs throughout the city. And I think we just would like to have the ability to put this before the voters and make our case that these are improvements that we think the residents want. And we've certainly seen that in all of these different meetings that have taken place. We've heard from the residents of complaints of things that are missed, that are perhaps going unattended. And we'd like the ability to tax ourselves just a little bit more to make sure that some of these needs are filled on our own. And we certainly would welcome the committee moving this ahead to give us that opportunity.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have David, is it Bergmeyer? David Borgmeyer.
Hi,
Hi.
David
Okay.
Borgmeyer. How are you?
Fine, sir. Go right
Yeah.
ahead.
I will. My name is David Borgmeyer. I am a business owner, homeowner, and landlord, all three in Holly Hills. I have been here since 1979 when I opened my dental office. My wife and I purchased a house on Holly Hills in 1982. We've raised 4 boys, all went to St. Stephen's. We have 7 grandkids at St. Stephen's at the moment. And out of those 7, all 7 of them live one does not. 6 out of the 7 live in Holly Hills. So we're pretty invested in the neighborhood. I love it. When I got married, my wife, I said, "Where would you like to live?" And she said, "I've always wanted to live in Holly Hills." She was a Afton girl at that time. And we came, looked around, found a building on the corner, and have been here ever since. So longtime resident, and just love the neighborhood that kids can walk to school, to both the public school and the private school in the neighborhood. Every morning there's kids on the street during the school year walking with their moms and dads, and it's a place that I want to keep good. And I think with the extra funds that would be available through this taxing district, we can improve the safety of the people, have a more enjoyable place to walk through. And personally, I see a lot of people from 63123, 129, 119 that come into my office, and they're coming through this neighborhood. And it's so nice that if we could improve it to where it was really like, oh man, I can't believe this is here. I hear it all the time. So that's my pitch for the taxing district and my support for that. So thanks.
Thank you, sir. And the last guest is Philip Cervantes.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to speak before the committee. My name is Phil Cervantes, and I've lived in the Holly Hills neighborhood for 17 years, since July of 2005. I've been a city resident since 1998, and I've worked in the city of St. Louis since 1993. My wife and I have 2 young children who both attend school at St. Stephen Proto-Martyr. That's one of the schools within the Holly Hills neighborhood. And I'm here today, like the other speakers who went before me, to voice my support for the proposal of the special business district for the Holly Hills neighborhood. I don't know that I can say anything different than what the other speakers before me said, but I'll give it a try. I feel that our neighborhood is unique in that we have a community with 2 elementary schools in the area with children who are in the neighborhood who are able to attend and are able to walk to. We have a public park that creates high foot traffic for families to bike, picnic, and play. We have access to some unique restaurants within the city of St. Louis in our neighborhood. And these are just some of the things that draw people to our neighborhood. But all of these things and more are what I would call anchors that create a uniqueness to the Holly Hills neighborhood. With the funds raised through the special business district, I feel that we would be able to supplement our current resources that we receive from the city of St. Louis in order to put forth beautification projects like planting and landscaping throughout the neighborhood and in the park, improve the medians that are throughout the Holly Hills neighborhood. We would be able to promote community events for those who are within the neighborhood and who come to our neighborhood from outside of the Holly Hills. Through this type of funding, we could add crosswalks and additional speed humps, which would be an added safety benefit to the schools, the children, and the pedestrians in the park. I believe the funds could also be used for cleanup and beautification. All these things that I've mentioned would support and add to those items that I discussed that make our neighborhood unique. And by creating a special business district for Holly Hills, it would not only improve the quality of life for the current residents of Holly Hills, but it would also improve the quality of life for those in the future, maybe even my children and theirs. So this proposal will not only be an improvement for the Holly Hills residents, but I also see it as an improvement for the visitors who come to Carondelet Park, for those who come to our schools, our churches, and the various businesses within our community. I would also tell you that I've had multiple conversations with many neighbors, and I feel that there is an overwhelming support for this. And thank you again for allowing me to voice my support for this proposal.
Thank you, sir. We'll move on to the balance of the speakers. Alderwoman Schweitzer. In this special presentation part, was there anything else you needed to add?
No, that's it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. So we'll move on to our guest speaker, to our speakers list. And my last count was we have 11 speakers that are in support, 1 in opposition, and 1 with no opinion. I'm going to ask our clerk to call the names, and I'm going to swear you in as a group. So all those who are waiting to speak, could you please open your mic? I'd like to swear you in. You will show your face and answer with your name and your affirmative or not. So hopefully you've all opened your mic. And what I'd like to do is swear you in. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth? And you shall now give your affirmative or not.
I do.
I do.
I do.
I do.
Okay. I think I heard about 8. Did everybody have a chance to do it?
I think so.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, could you please call the names and I'll give my voice a rest here for a minute, okay? Go right ahead.
Will do. Did you want me to go in support and then the 1 in opposition, or do you want me to go all through support?
Please pick up the 1 in support after, the 1 in opposition after 1 in support, because we only have 1. And
Okay.
do the same thing for the no opinion.
Will do. The
Thank
first
you.
speaker in support, Tony Minor.
Yes, I'm fully in support. I would echo everything that's been said from our guest speakers. I also my wife and I, we were high school sweethearts, also grew up in Afton, and immediately knew we wanted to be city residents. We just love the city, went to college in the city, bought a house in Tower Grove Park when I was 25, rehabbed that house. And my real estate agent's on this Zoom and can testify that we tried for years and years to find a home in Holly Hills that could support our family, and finally did, and couldn't be happier here and couldn't be happier with the community. And I think it says something that a community that's vastly in support of this or is willing to invest in their community, not just of their time, but also of their resources. I think that says a lot, and I would greatly urge to move this to the ballot so the community could have a say on it. Thank you.
The speaker in opposition is Kevin Praying. And you will have, all the speakers will have 3 minutes, and I will give you a warning at 1 minute. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you for holding this meeting, allowing me to comment. I'm speaking today in opposition to Board Bill 10. My wife and I have lived at our residence on Leona Street in the Holly Hills area for nearly 24 years. Our concern is the 30% of the money raised by the special business district that will be dedicated to safety and security. It has been floated that we would use some of the money to hire armed off-duty police to patrol the neighborhood. We understand that there's a concern about crime in the neighborhood, but we don't believe that adding the threat of additional violence is the answer. An armed nighttime patrol will be looking for anyone out of place, and in a neighborhood where nearly 2/3 of the residents are white, the color of one's skin is likely to determine if someone is seen as suspicious. We worry that the property of white residents will be prioritized over the lives of Black and Latino residents or those passing through the neighborhood. We fear that we are setting up the conditions for an unnecessary violent encounter based on the color of one's skin. Our neighborhood is blessed to have a diversity of housing of both homeowners and renters. Homeowners are more likely to be longer-term residents who know each other, and in the Holly Hills neighborhood are more likely to be white. And renters who are more likely to be short-term residents or short-time residents who happen to be more diverse. And again, when an armed patrol is looking for people who seem to not belong, it will be the more diverse residents of the renters who will fall under more suspicion. There's been little communication with renters in the neighborhood about this proposed special business district. In addition, Holly Hills is a crossroads, as others have mentioned, at the busy intersection of I-55, and people pass through all the time to get groceries, retail, services, and dining. And of course, there's the beautiful Carondelet Park. All of this means that there are always outsiders passing through, people who should not have to fear being seen as suspicious because they aren't from here or have darker skin. Supporters of this proposal will point out that there has been an armed patrol in the neighborhood for the past 6 years, voluntarily paid for by some residents. This is in addition to a group of residents who call themselves the Rat Patrol, complete with a branded vehicle. You can look them up on the neighborhood website. We've worried about this current arrangement for the same reasons, and now we're being forced to fund this armed patrol. In addition, the number of households voluntarily paying for the armed patrols has dropped over the years. It seems to me that a handful of residents are finding it more difficult to pay for this service and now attempting to foist it on to everyone else. In the end, we cannot support the special business district without some modification to this idea. Thank you for your time.
The next speaker is Nicholas Hartzer.
Thank you. My name is Nick Hartzler. I live on the 3900 block of Bowen Street, and I am speaking today in support of the Holly Hills Special Business District. I've lived in the historic Holly Hills neighborhood for approximately 21 of the past 29 years, including as a homeowner for the past 4 years. Growing up in Holly Hills and living here currently, I take great pride in living in some of the conditions that make living in the city of St. Louis such a great experience. Historical and diverse architecture, high population density with a mixed income population, and easy and convenient access to great restaurants and public assets like Carondelet Park. As years have gone by and the city's total population has failed to increase, it is only understandable that the city is left with a difficult choice to either cut back services or increase taxes across the board. Seeing some of these service cuts in Holly Hills has become very apparent with the uptick in recent years of general property crime and conditions in which some choose to speed through the neighborhood. The state of Carondelet Park has also been challenged, particularly with its status as the largest park in the city without a dedicated funding source. I am very appreciative of the work the Parks Department, police officers, and park rangers do to help keep our park and neighborhood safe and beautiful, but they are stretched too thin to respond to every instance of gunfire, threatening and violent actions, and lewd behavior occurring in the park and Holly Hills. One of the things that makes Holly Hills so great is the small army of volunteers that work hard to keep the public space, greenways, and park clean and beautiful. But the increased frequency with which we are having to hold cleanup efforts can leave many feeling disheartened with the poor manner in which some treat these assets. Without wanting to put an additional tax burden on the entire city, I believe the Holly Hills Special Business District is a great way to provide additional services to the district area. Seeing the impact similar districts have made in the neighborhoods across the city make it clear that this special business district can help make Holly Hills a thriving neighborhood. With this district, I believe we have the opportunity to stabilize and improve the great asset for the city, which is Holly Hills and Carondelet Park. Securing this area with public safety, public infrastructure, and aesthetic improvements in the form of landscaping and cleaning efforts will solidify Holly Hill's status as an anchor for the South Side. And in doing so, we will ensure Holly Hills remains the jewel of the South Side well into its second century and beyond. Thank you, and I appreciate your time.
The next speaker is undecided and have no opinion. Charles Smith.
Hello, I'm Chuck Smith. I'm a longtime resident of Holly Hills. I've been here since 2005. And I have to, at the outset, admit that I'm coming to this issue and awareness a little bit late. And I'm not terribly proud of that, but that's the case. And was actually sort of become aware of it because of the apparent plan to remove trees, ash tree infected trees on borer infected trees on Arunda's Drive on the north side of Wilmington. That was a very alarming possibility or potential in my particular case because of the impact that it would have on my residents directly in terms of western exposure to the sun, just kind of denuding the landscape in front of me. As I talked to my neighbors about this, I became aware of the fact that this was a real issue throughout the neighborhood. People on Arunda's closer to Bates were infuriated by the removal of ash trees along Bates and the replacement for them. In any event, I became aware of the petition, the proposal for the special business district because of the focus on Carondelet and the surrounding boulevards. I think, first of all, it's a beautiful park, and I completely commend all the people that have spent hours volunteering to keep it beautiful and maintaining the median and doing other things to supplement what the city is apparently not able to do. And I understand the need for safety and need for us to hunker down in our neighborhood, make sure that we are protecting ourselves, each other, and our assets. But I'm concerned about, in particular, the allocation of funds for beautification. And I must say, and this is based on feedback that I've recently gotten from my neighbors, that there's a little bit of concern that this proposal sort of benefits the elite in Holly Hills, whereas the people on the periphery, the less perhaps lower income, perhaps less resourced folks in the community.
1 minute left.
In Holly Hills are not going to be equally benefited. So I'm undecided, and I have to admit there's more information that I need to gather myself about the proposal and how it would be made operational. I do have a question for Mr. Gedeker, and that is, how long would it take to form a board? How long from voter approval to implementation? What kind of a timeline are we talking about?
Is it okay if I answer?
Go right ahead, sir.
Yeah, so this proposal would be voted on on August 2nd, and then the funds would start being received if it did pass, would be, come in with the tax bills there. So January of 2023. So before that, and it's appointed by the mayor of the city of St. Louis, actually the 7-person board could begin working in the fall of 2022 to start getting some of the committees together, start doing some of the plans and that in anticipation of the funds coming in 2023.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, go right ahead.
The next speakers are all in favor. Laura Reddick.
Hi, I'm Laura Reddick, and I have grown up in this area, and I moved a block away when I got married. I've raised my 3 kids here, and my son bought a house here after he got married. In addition, my parents are still here after 55 years, and 3 of my siblings have stayed in the areas, raising their families as well. I love the area and everything about it and everything that it stands for. And I am very much in favor of this, of the overall need for safety, beautification, and the infrastructure funds. So thank you.
The next speaker is Megan Cotner.
I don't think she was able to join because of work.
The next speaker is James Forgesh.
Good afternoon, and thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Jim Forgesh. I live on the 3800 block of Holly Hills. I'm a lifelong city resident. At this point, I think a lot of people have spoken already, and I can pretty much so piggyback what everybody else has said. But I guess just one more thing to add is that I believe that in a time when the city's population is declining, I think the proposal of the special business district can only help enhance the Holly Hills neighborhood, but the city of St. Louis as a whole. So when people visit, pass through, spend their money in the city, in particular in Holly Hills, it has a trickle-down effect to all the different communities adjacent to Holly Hills. And I think those are all positives to not, like I said, just Holly Hills, but also to the city of St. Louis. Thank you.
The next speaker is John Hogan.
Hey everyone, thank you for allowing me to speak. I just wanted to come in for support of the bill today. My wife and I have lived here for 6 years in 2 different spots. We started off like right off of Morganford, and now we live on Marwinet, right off the park. We have 2 young kids, and like our goal is just to keep the neighborhood really, safe and a great place to be, so the kids can walk around, with the schools and everything. And then, for us, I also have my mom and brother and sister, they all moved down here as well. And, just keeping the neighborhood a good, spot to be for people coming, from outside the neighborhood as well, and everything like that. But yeah, I just wanted to come today in support of this, and I appreciate you letting me have the time to speak. Thank you.
Richard Nigro. I'm not sure if he's on. Chairwoman will come back to him. Steve Butts, and I believe he spoke already. The next speaker is Wayne Redker. Wayne Rector. I see he's connecting to the audio. Sir, if you can unmute.
All right, is that working now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry. I'm been a resident since 2001. Live in 3800 Federer Place. Love Holly Hills. I think everybody's made great comments about the neighborhood. My kids go to St. Stephen's, but in the last few years there's been a lot of things that have started to happen that have been kind of unfortunate, with car break-ins, people coming through in the middle of the night. A lot of us neighbors will talk, and we'll have Ring cameras, and people are checking door handles and stealing gutters just recently. Just a couple of weeks ago, my daughter and I were in the park, and it was 6 a.m. and just right in front of us in the woods, there was 2 gunshots went off. So there's a lot of things that have started to develop over the last 4 or 5 years, and I feel like that the special taxing district can really help us out to give us some extra funds to be able to do the things we need to do with more lighting, beautification, definitely looking at some extra security of some sort, to be able to keep the neighborhood as well it has been, and continue that for generations to come. But I'm fully in support of the bill. Thank you.
The next speaker is Dan McGrath.
Hello there. Thanks for letting me speak. I think everybody that talked so far had very good and good comments to share. My background is I've been a city resident in South St. Louis for 62 years, and I've been in the Holly Hills neighborhood for 32 years. Raised my family here, and I like the word opportunity. I look at this as an opportunity to put this to the voters. I look at it as an opportunity to empower the residents with some of the things that are challenging us. I see it as an opportunity for an investment in just the common good. In addition to me being a resident here for 32 years in Holly Hills, I'm a realtor and I specialize in South City and particularly in Holly Hills. And one of the things that concerns me is that, the perception of our neighborhood challenges is starting to give some rise to, what the value of this community is. And that's a challenge because, for most of us, this is our major investment, our house. And so the perception of what's going on in this neighborhood at 6 a.m. when Wayne's walking with his daughter through the park is another opportunity for us to take this and put it to the voters. So that being said, I'm in full support of the special business district. Thank you. And we need a Vaccaro snow cone stand in Holly Hills. That's what I'm saying.
I was thinking that. I was also going to say nice. I like the mustache.
Well, I'm in a competition.
Looks good.
Thanks, everybody.
The last speaker that I have on my list is Colleen Nigro.
Hello. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I am also in strong support of this bill. I grew up here in Holly Hills and left after college, but my parents stayed in Holly Hills. So I come back to visit all the time, came back to get married in 2012, and then finally came back to St. Louis in 2019 with my husband and 3 little kids. And Holly Hills was the big draw for us. I love St. Louis, but Holly Hills is where my heart is. And we came back here to raise our kids because of the phrase, we all know that it takes a village. And I have 3 little ones, so we're outnumbered. And so I've got a whole community of people that are watching after my kids. And so I just want to still be able to let them run around the neighborhood, ride their bikes to their friends' houses. And I see the crime going up and that worries me.
Yeah.
I'm also very excited about this extra financial support that gives the local citizens decision-making power in how it's used. So, and then since I'm an architect too, so I have a little bit more of a different philosophy on the security and safety aspects. I believe beautification done in the right way can keep our neighborhoods secure and safe. Through, gates at Carondelet Park, through gathering spaces. When people are around, it's harder to do bad things. So there's a lot of things we can do on the beautification aspect to keep our, citizens and our community members prideful of their neighborhood and come out and give their time and support too. Lastly, I really like what Jim Forgesh had to say, the ripple effect. It's not just about Holly Hills. I think this will have a ripple effect. And this is how Brooks really sold it to me, that Dutchtown, Bevo, Boulevard Heights is just gonna help all of St. Louis. So thanks for hearing me out.
Okay. All right.
Chairwoman Davis, that concludes the speakers.
Thank you.
Okay.
Someone needs to mute.
Great.
We hear your phone call. I think it's David. You need to mute. David Borgmeyer, could you mute your phone? Thank you.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, so we've heard from all those who signed up to speak today, but I also want to make you cognizant of emails that we received. And you do have them in your drive. So committee members, you can review them. I counted 39 in support and 4 opposed. I don't know if any more have been added since my last count, but those are available for you to read. I'd like to go back to Alderwoman Schweitzer. Is there anything else you needed to add before I go to committee?
No, Madam Chair, thank you.
All right, thank you. So what I'd like to do now is to go to the committee members and hear your thoughts on what you've heard thus far. For alderpersons who are not on the committee, if you'd like to speak, please send me a message in the chat. I don't do well with raising hands, so send me a message in the chat. So I'd like to start off with Alderman Jeffrey Boyd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. All I can do is give accolades and, thank the people who are for this, for all their due diligence, for all the hard work that they put into this. I think it's a big deal when neighbors are willing to tax themselves for the safety of the neighborhood. So I just want to commend all the hard work that's been put into this. I will certainly be voting for this. And kudos to Alderwoman Schweitzer for picking the ball up from Alderwoman Martin. That's what I think it sounded like, anyway, they were a good team. So, and good to see former Alderwoman Martin on the Zoom call. So that's all I have. Thank you, guys. And it's always good to see a state rep testify at a Board of Aldermen hearing. We don't have that a lot. So good to see Representative Butts.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. I have to give a shout out to Representative Butts because you know me, I'm busy. And I orchestrated a job fair at the Carondelet Y, and he definitely showed up. So I have to, in everything I've ever been to in that area, he's been present. So I had expected him to be on this call. Thank you. The next, Alderman Vaccaro.
Yeah, I'm here. No, same thing. I think it's great, well put together. I appreciate everybody. I thought the comment about adding a vaquero snow cone that way, that shows something that's been around a long time. I had to work that when I was a kid. I think there should have been child labor laws that might have been violated, but you never know. But no, I'm obviously going to support this and thank everyone that came and took the time out of the day to speak.
All right. Thank you. Next, we have Alderwoman Howard.
Good afternoon. I just would like to thank everyone for showing up. Hi, Steve, my insurance broker, and Brooks. It's good to see you again. Been a while. I guess the only concern I have, if this is put to the voters and it does pass, there was some concern sent to me regarding people not being able to afford it, and I don't know if there would be any allocations. And I guess my concern is senior citizens that right now with the cost of living going up so high, would there be any attempt or could there be an attempt to help educate those people about tax breakers and so some other means to help fill in for this? I'm sure many people like the amenities it will provide, but sometimes it's a stretch to their budget. And that's just one concern that I have because you do have a diverse area there. And then the other one, I'll ask Brooks about this. When I looked at the map, that section of Carondelet Park that goes up to the highway is not in it. Was there a reason for eliminating that? Or is that because it's the Y?
Yeah, Carol, I think that was the main reason. It was just to, we could there, but it's mostly just the Y and then one ball field that's there. So didn't feel like it could really have much of an impact there. And then can I speak on the senior citizen comment real quick? Yeah, so I have heard just a few concerned senior citizens about this. I've actually talked to some senior citizens for a couple hours individually on it that did have some concerns. So we did talk about the circuit breaker, forms and everything. They were already filing those, so they were well aware of them. When I broke it out to them to show what they would pay, we were, one was going to pay $100, one was going to pay $110 a year. And then they started seeing, okay, well, they've had planters stolen. They've had their garage broken into. They've had gutters stolen. And so they really did see this as more of a proactive stance for it. And the other thing that I didn't mention in my presentation, but what is going to be assessed now does not go up, because of the Hancock Amendment and that in the state of Missouri. We are getting in, I think this is good that we're getting in now before home values really go up and are reassessed, that $400,000 number, that $200 median number, that would stay the same over the 10-year period.
So the amount doesn't change because of the tax rate going up?
Yeah, so it actually, that 65 cents per $100 assessed value, by the time we're done with it in 10 years, it's going to be down to about 45 cents probably per $100 assessed value. So then you have to revote it in 10 years to get it back up to that 65 cents.
So the assessed value is stagnant until this runs its course.
Yeah, I think because of the Hancock Amendment, and Representative Butts can probably talk about this better, but I think it only may go up a slight percentage each year.
Okay, that's good to know that, because right now with inflation being what it is, it's a little sketchy out there for people that are on a I hate to say fixed income, but a no chance for a raise in income. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Let the people decide. I think it's a good thing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Has Alderwoman Spencer joined us?
I have. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Go right ahead, please.
I don't have any questions. I just want to thank everyone who came to the hearing today and for the thoughtful emails and communication about this issue. Public safety, our personal safety, the safety of our families is incredibly important. And so the thoughtfulness with which folks have communicated on this issue has been something I've been appreciative of. Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no further comments or questions.
All right. Alderwoman Boyd.
I have no questions. I support this, and I appreciate everybody that has come forward to speak in regards to it. And I think it's positive. And I thank Alderwoman Howard for bringing up some issues that she thought that would be relevant to this. And so I'm like her, let the residents vote on it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Alderwoman Middlebrook.
I have no questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I just have a couple of comments. One thing is, at the end of the day, the people will vote. And based on your initial community engagement, I'm sure you're going to do even more to get the vote out, which means more people will be aware and they can come out and voice their position with the vote. There is nothing more disheartening than watching a community deteriorate. And living in North St. Louis, I've watched that. There's our schools end up closing because people move. You end up afraid to go outside. You have so much theft that your retail leaves. It's just so many things. So to get a handle on it early and that you still have population that can support it, I think it's very smart. And for $200 or less a year, you know that it's worth it. So I applaud everyone who has worked on this. I know that as you move forward, you'll have many discussions. And that's how a community works together. And based on what I know from that community, over the years, my first encounter with that neighborhood was in 1991 when we were conducting the census here. And I know that everybody gets involved at some point. So I thank you. I want to go back to, I didn't see, I'm sorry, I need to go back to the chat. Okay, I didn't see any aldermen in the chat that needed to speak that are not on the committee. And if someone has joined, please just go ahead and open your mic and make your comments. Any alder person that is not on the committee. Hearing none, I'd like to go back to Alderwoman Schweitzer to close.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, and all members of the committee. I think the people who've spoken today said it all, and I really appreciate your time. Definitely a lot more to do with community engagement if this does end up going on the ballot, and I have faith that that's going to happen. I'm going to be certainly working hard on it. So with that, I ask for your favorable consideration today.
Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion, please, on Board Bill number 10.
I make a motion that we pass out Board Bill number 10 with a do pass recommendation.
And I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved in second. Madam
Previous
Clerk,
roll.
any objections? Hearing none, previous roll is being used, and this board bill has been passed with a do pass recommendation. Let's go back to Alderwoman Schweitzer on resolution.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, and thank you all for that vote. Madam Clerk did read the resolution at the beginning of the meeting, so I don't have anything further to add. This resolution just accompanies the board bill. It's just another piece that has to be done by the state. Not anything different in that than what we've already voted or what you've already voted on today. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The chair will entertain a motion to pass board bill, resolution number 17.
I make a motion to pass out Board Bill number 17 to the full Board of Aldermen with a do pass recommendation.
Resolution.
I did say resolution, didn't I? Or did I? Okay.
Said board bill.
Sorry.
I second to pass the resolution out with a do pass recommendation.
Previous roll.
Any objection to previous roll? Hearing none, we have moved resolution number 17 for it with a do pass recommendation. And Alderwoman Schweitzer, you have actually, I wanted to share with you because I don't think you've had that many bills before us, but you did a very good job. Thank you.
Thank you. That means a lot.
All right. We'll move on to the balance of the business for the Ways and Means Committee for today. We have this item listed for discussion, and we need to discuss how the Ways and Means Committee will move forward with the budget. And my first thing is to indicate to you that we will be meeting 4 days a week to work on this budget, Monday through Thursday. As it has not been necessarily adhered to in the past, this is a requirement in the charter. So we shall work accordingly. I'd also like to know if any members of the committee have any priorities, if you've had a chance to review the budget, that you want to either suggest an amendment to it or ask for reconsideration from the mayor's office or if you have any complaints about the structure, if there's not enough information for you. As each committee comes before you, as each department comes before you, what I'd like for you to do is to make sure that we are very prepared with our questions. If there is any additional information that you are going to require, that we get that email sent to the department director so that they can come equipped. We also want to be sure that we give enough time for those larger department budgets instead of rushing. So I'm just going to go through the committee and ask you for any suggestions or your opinions of what I've just shared with you. I'll start with Alderman Boyd. Alderman Boyd, are you still with us?
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, my audio went out on me. Did you call on me?
Yes, sir. I just wanted your opinion on the points that I had just shared on how we'll move forward with the Ways and Means Committee with the budget.
I heard you say 4 days a week. That's a lot of work.
Yes, sir.
Ooh, Jesus, 4 days a week?
Yes, sir.
Is that like Monday through Thursday, basically?
Yes, sir.
I like my Mondays off. I'm just saying.
So you'll be absent. You'll be absent on Mondays, I guess.
Ooh, that's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, but think about it this way: you also can be done faster instead of drawing it out over 3 or 4 weeks.
That's true. That's the benefit of it.
That's the benefit.
Hey, I serve at the pleasure of the chair, so I will, do my due diligence to be present. How about that?
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Any priorities you have for information you'd like to request from any department?
I'll tell you what, though, it's not more so about the department. It's more so about ENA. And I think, I know we always start off with ENA, the comptroller, the mayor, and the president. And I think it's very important that they present, what their priorities are and talk about how it's embedded in the budget and how we all can work together to make sure that we can implement a lot of the priorities and strategies that, they're putting forward. I think that's very important. So I look forward to hearing the presentation from ENA. So that is the basic thing that's important to me. I mean, I've been on this rodeo for quite some time. I got off Ways and Means because it's a lot of work, a lot of work, but it's very educational, especially if you're a junior alder person, especially in your first 4 years. But that's what's important to me. How do we put a budget together that is in alignment with ENA and the Board of Aldermen? Because we know that, our constituents complain about trash being picked up, about, there's a lot of conversation about the unhoused. What do we do about that? There's a lot of conversation about, development in communities. And there are a lot of high priority issues that we've already talked about when it comes to the ARPA funds. So how are we developing a budget that reflects some of the same priorities that our constituents are saying that they are interested in to make them feel like, they're living part of a good quality of life? Because people that are homeowners, more especially, that are stakeholders here, you buy a home, your quality of life, comfort, and enjoyment is very important. And when you are a tenant and you've moved to St. Louis, you want the same benefits, even though, you're not a homeowner, but you still want the same benefits. So I just want to really hear from, ENA, the leadership of the city of St. Louis, about their thoughts and how the budget reflects their ideologies. So thank you.
I thank you very much for those comments. And that's one of the things that we will do is expand the time frame for ENA members, because I think we rushed them with only allowing like 30, 45 minutes. And we're going to allow more. We'll allow more time for Paul Payne for his presentation so that we are thoroughly versed before the departments come before us. I'll go on now to Alderman Vaccaro.
So I guess a couple things. Yeah, I agree with the more expanded time, because usually we end up either having somebody sit in the hall and not get in because we're running over. What time you thinking, man? Because there's other committee hearings that go on that, you know, what do you think for a timeline?
So that's another good question, sir. So one of the things I wanted to get from the committee, would you prefer to start early in the morning so you're done sooner in the day? Or do you want to start like mid-morning? And preferably you'll still have some of your day left over for business. So that's a question that needs to be answered as well.
Well, the only reason I think early in that, I have nothing exciting going in life. So I have plenty of time, but I know like we have public safety meetings that are going to be coming up. And I know that the streets is going to have a lot coming up and a lot of long meetings coming up, you know, with the tow lot stuff that, you know, so, I mean, trying to work all these into the meeting. And then I guess the other question, in the past, although maybe not with COVID, but in the past we've taken show on the road. Are we going to do that at a couple locations, or with COVID, not take it on the road? And I guess the other thing, if there's any department that's, you're going to send a list of departments, and then what if there's someone that we prefer to hear from that's not on the list? I wouldn't mind hearing from the treasurer's office this go around.
So in your Google Drive, we have like a sample of what it could look like, but we're going to revise it so that we can do it for 4 days. And that means, just take for instance, like the police department. That's a heavy budget. And we need to give them 3 or 4 hours. That's not an easy thing to work through. Department of Human Services, that's not an easy thing to work through. So we want to make sure that those large departments with large budgets, we give ample time so that we can get all your questions answered. They can explain why they're asking for certain things. And the public also gets to hear and understand. It's also an educational opportunity. I watch a lot of the Twitter. I never respond to anybody. Just to give you, for instance, when Paul Payne is making his presentation and he explains the budget and all of that, one of the things that we've never done since I've been there is we've never explained who spends the money. We never explained that process, and I want to allow him time so that the public understands that alderpersons do not do RFPs. We do not interview people for the answer to the RFP. We do not create leases or sign them. We do not issue checks. We do not have the ability to write a check. So all those things, we really want to do a better job this time, okay? So we will do 2 meetings, one in the evening and one on a Saturday for the public. I think we need to do them at locations. I think we're safe enough at this moment unless something changes, but I will stay in close contact with Dr. Mahdi and take her advice whether or not we should do it in public or not. Did I answer everything for you, sir?
You did. Other than, you know, if there's a specific department, like, again, I wouldn't mind having, you know.
Oh, please send me and the board clerk a note requesting a department, okay?
Right.
Yeah, like for me, there are a couple of departments I don't think we need to bring up because they are structured so tight. There's nothing they can do other than what they do. And most of it is dictated by federal government. So there's a few of them I don't think we need to bring up. But
in particular, the treasurer's office, only because I always like to know, you know, the money they're taking in on the garages, where it's going, how the bonds are doing, you know, just how did COVID affect parking, you know, stuff. You know, I'm just thinking that, you know, so I'll just put my request in now that Treasurer's Office be one of the groups that come in front of us.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm pretty good overall.
All right. Thank you, sir. Alderwoman Howard.
I think you've clarified everything for me. I was looking at the schedule that you had in the Google Drive, and I was like, well, we're not meeting 4 days a week. So you've clarified that. I will send you those people that I would like to see in front of us. And I think, you know, as we move forward, I do have a question. Is there something that needs to be acted upon by the fourth Monday in May?
Fourth Monday in May.
As far as the budget goes?
The only thing I know in reading the charter is that the process should have been completed in order for the Board of Aldermen to start no later than.
Okay. Okay. So we're in good compliance that way. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all I have. I'll email you those that I have concerns that I'd like to see in front of us and any details. So I appreciate your time and thank you so much.
All right. Alderwoman Spencer. Alderwoman Spencer, are you still with us?
I think she's gone. I don't see her here.
Okay. All righty. Alderwoman Boyd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll send you the departments that I wanted to sit down with also. So
Okay.
I'm fine with what you're presenting.
All right. Thank you so much. Alderwoman Middlebrook.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. I'll send you information through the email. And I guess for a timeline, I think, you know, as long, hopefully we're done by 5:30 because, you know, that little one of mine, she tends to want to climb up and wave and want to talk to everybody when she gets home from school. So that would be helpful for me. So thank you.
Would you like to, as a committee, set a time that we should try to end by? If you're meeting 4 days a week, you've got to be able to go home and do things and also respond to your constituency. So would we like to end at 3 every day?
I think that would be great.
If you are in agreement, you can just send it to me in an email because I want to keep a good record of everything. If you are in agreement for us with the 4 days, ending by 3, we'll probably start at 9 or 10. But a lot of that has to do with the board clerk and all the other responsibilities of committee and structure. So he'll be doing all of that for us. And but we will do the 4 days a week. So we might start at 9 some days, we might start at 10 some days. But if we set it for us to end at 3, that gives us a lot of time to, even if we're only doing one department, I believe it would take that whole time to do like the police department and a couple of others. It would take 4 hours, it really would. So I thank you for your suggestions, and I'm going to go back. Let's see here. I think I covered everybody. Did anybody think of anything else before I go on to the next thing? Hearing nothing. The next thing we need to do is we need to excuse our alderpersons. So we are excusing for necessary absence Alderwoman Evans, Collins, and Oldenburg. Okay. With no other discussion or concerns, I move to adjourn this meeting.
I'll second that if it needs a second.
Not really, but yes. Thank you. It was really a good meeting today. I'm looking forward to the process for working on the budget. And I thank all of you all for your time today. Madam Clerk, thank you for helping. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, STL.